In August of 1994, I was learning at Yakar in Jerusalem, and Reb Shlomo Carlebach, blessed memory, was teaching there for 3 consecutive days, one day each on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur and Sukkot. And I'd met Reb Shlomo before in London, at the shul in New York. I'd been to the Moshav Modi'in, and I never really quite got him. There was too much Yiddish, there was too much going on. On the second of these 3 days at Yakar, I completely fell in love with Reb Shlomo, and I completely understood everything. I understood everything about him, I understood everything about Jewish tradition, all sorts of things came together. It was very profound for me and it was very exciting, and I agreed with him that I would learn with him every time he came to Jerusalem. And in fact, the next time he came to Jerusalem was his funeral, which was about two or 3 months after that. And when he died, I was really devastated. And after he died, I went back through my notes from those 3 days at Yakar. I had 50 pages of notes. And somewhere buried in the middle of these notes, he had said, the Torah is a commentary on the world, and the world is a commentary on the Torah. The Torah is a commentary on the world, and the world is a commentary on the Torah. I don't think in the moment that he said it, he really made a huge deal out of it. It was part of a huge flow of Reb Shlomo teaching. But for some reason, out of these 50 pages of notes that I had, this phrase completely leapt out at me. The Torah is a commentary on the world, and the world is a commentary on the Torah. That's what we took as Hazon's theme quote from the very beginning, from the very first bike ride that we did. That's something that we have written on our website and on many of our documents. And to some considerable extent, it underpins pedagogically many of the things that this organization does, and some of how we think both about the world and Jewish tradition. That phrase to me means a number of things. First of all, it means Jewish tradition's a commentary on the world. It means Jewish tradition can and should be relevant to the greatest questions of being alive in the world in the 21st century. It's not just about religion, narrowly construed. It's not just about Shabbat or Kashrut or traditional religious categories. Jewish tradition, if it is a commentary on the world, is challenging me in relationship to, well, what does Jewish tradition say about inequality? What does Jewish tradition have to say about how 7 billion people can, could, or should live on this small planet? What does Jewish tradition have to say about our humanity? What does Jewish tradition have to say about pedagogy, relationship with neighbours, relationship with things, relationship with times? All of those things for real, on the one hand. And the world is a commentary on the Torah is taking that in a mathematically commutative sense. It is about saying, I will also be provoked by the world and allow the world to shed fresh light on the Torah. Because for me to read the Torah in 2015 will be different than for me to have read it in 1994, or for us to read it in 2035, or any other era or period. So for example, earlier this year, the head of the American Academy of Religion, speaking to nearly 10,000 gathered academics, students of religion, at their annual gathering, giving a keynote during what is within Jewish tradition the Shemitah year, said to them, and I challenge everybody here, by the time of the next Shemitah year in 2021, I want to suggest that that year the American Academy of Religion not meet, specifically because it's the Shemitah year. Let's not put 10,000 flights into the atmosphere. Let's, as an academy, spend the next year figuring out how we might observe the Shemitah year. She said that to people of literally an incredibly wide range of religions who study almost literally every religion on planet Earth. What she was saying there was, inherently this ancient piece of, in this case, Jewish tradition, can, could, and should be relevant to how an academic body meets in the 21st century, and whether and how we meet in the 21st century will help us to shed fresh light on this ancient tradition. And so that's the sense in which, if you are watching this now, I hope that you will have the opportunity to look both at Jewish tradition through fresh eyes and the world around us in fresh eyes, and on an ongoing basis really genuinely allow each to shed light on the other, to ask questions of the other, and ultimately to help to create a healthier and a more sustainable Jewish community, and genuinely a healthier and a more sustainable world for everybody.